chaotic. It's has kept us youthful. Being that my girls are teen, they're not home. I mean, my oldest is in college in a whole other country, so it's not even like she's home on Easter. So I'm glad that I did it because I wasn't ready to be alone at night every night, and so now I get to make dinner still. And we're back into the little kids' sports, so we have soccer practice and t-ball and like. So I'm glad that it's keeping me young and healthy. Like, we know that things can change on the dime because we do take the emergency placements, and my kids have stepped up. I had a call I think last week for one, but my daughter was in Prague visiting her sister, so I didn't have that extra pair of hands, and I was like, I really can't this week. Like, both my mom and stepdad and my 17-year-old are in another country. Like, I have no help. Like, we didn't make it to any sport practices, no extra early math. I had no help. So, but I think things like that, the flexibility, definitely entertaining in the house now with boys. I'm not sitting around at night by myself because, like, I didn't see my daughter at all last week because she was out of the country visiting her sister, and she gets home yesterday and boyfriend's over, and then she had a soccer team dinner, and then she went to her boyfriend afterwards, and I was in bed before she even made it home at 10:30. So I think that would really probably weigh on my psyche. So having the boys allows me to, as she says, have a new family when she's mad at me. I think the blinders have been taken off. I think when I thought it was all like, oh, you get to love on this kid, and they'll go home and they'll act like a typical 5-year-old, where in reality I didn't factor in all the trauma. You don't think. You think that they're going to be your typical 5-year-old like your daughter was at that age, or your son, or I remember last year we were leaving a soccer game, and Elliot's one that I can't tell him too much because he gets so excited he can't control his excitement, and so then he gets in trouble. And so we were leaving the soccer game, and he's crying. I'm like, dude, why are you crying? He's like, 'cause I didn't get dinner. And I'm like, I know, like, we're going to eat. Like, he's like, wow. But he didn't know that we were going out to eat. Like, he just thought he was going to go home and go to bed without dinner. And I was like, well, you don't always have dinner. Like, have you ever not gone to bed without dinner? Other than maybe you didn't like dinner and didn't want a peanut butter sandwich. Like, and so I think those perspective, like, they're not the normal. Parenting has been different for sure. I've had to look more things up in terms of like behaviors, and like I've had to think of other. Because for Elliot, sometimes certain punishments don't face him. Like, he doesn't have the emotional attachment sometimes to certain. Like, my kids would be devastated if I took their favorite stuffed animal, and he'd be like, "See you in a week." So I think that's changed. So I think overall, I think my experience has been pretty good though. I really do. I've heard some horror stories. I'm not always a good mom. The older I am, the harder it's been, and energy-wise. But the good outlasts the bad moments. Like, I do know that I'm frustrated and exhausted sometimes, and I gotta step back and be like, boys, I'm just tired. Let's just put a movie on. Like, quiet time movie. Like we experienced it Saturday. I got really sick in Chicago, and I don't know why. But I sucked it up, and I just told Elliot, don't ask me a million questions. My head's gonna explode. Let's just walk and get some food and enjoy the sights. Like, and he did fine. But me explaining it. So I do feel bad sometimes. I probably don't have the energy that I did when I was 20 with the girls, but it's better than 60, I guess. So we still travel a lot, and I do. Yeah, there's been times I've definitely had to learn to carve out the me time this time around with the girls. Like I said, every other weekend they with their dad, I can go watch that movie I wanted to, or sleep in, or whatever. And so
What have your daughters said about you parenting these two boys? They said anything, Mom?
They're glad we've done it. They both, yeah, like we can't imagine our life without them at this point. Even like my parents and stuff, like I think they're all surprised at how much they loved them, because my mom will tell you she was hesitant. She didn't know she could love them like her other grandkids, and now she doesn't even faze her, you know. So I think my dad still, but my dad lives in Florida, so he doesn't see him as often. So I think it's harder for him to have that bond. But you know, I think I just had a conversation with my brother, because with the girls I never did a will. They had a dad. Now that I have the boys, I'm like, I have to do a will. What if something happened? So I asked my brother recently if him and his wife would take. I was like, I know that it'd be starting over because Yassi's in college and Diddle was like 13, but I said, Mom said she would do it, but I'd also like my mom to stay in a grandma role.
Mm-hmm.
So he came back and said, absolutely. And then he told me this weekend, because they met us at Shed, and he said, Yassi said if we didn't agree to do it, she was going to do it because she was 18 too and she could do it. So I think that my family was just like they're ours.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good to hear that Yassi was you. And that's what I told Yassi. I said, I think the girl would do it because Riley's 18 and can do it. But I don't want them to leave that sister role if they didn't have to. So
you've given these kids a big family.
Oh yeah. No question. Like Elliot's trying to piece things together. He's at that age like, goes, Uncle Ken, is that your brother? I'm like, yep, older brother. So, like, you see him. Well, Yasin, my cousin. I'm like, yeah, she's your cousin. Like, he's slowly starting to try to figure out. It's fun to see. Mm-hmm. They've gotten to travel more than their first carousel ride was outside the Empire State, or the Eiffel Tower last summer.
Yeah.
In Paris.